Hello, I'm Rebecca Benneyworth and welcome to our Autumn Bankstream Index review. With me as usual, I've got John Stokdyk from AccountingWEB. Hi John. And also Kevin Bottomley from Bankstream. Hi Kevin. Well Kevin, first they were up and then they were down, so it's a bit of an up and down story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been really interesting tracking the index figure, probably all the way back to autumn last year when it reached its high of 7.2. Since then it's been down to 6.9 in spring, back up to 7.2 in the summer, and it's back down at 7.0 now this autumn. So it's a real yo-yo ride at the moment. What is interesting is though that it's not got anything to do with accountants' performance. It's all about their confidence in how their small business clients are going to perform in the upcoming quarter. And what we're seeing this time round is that the real problem or issue that they're seeing with their clients is poor record keeping, poor information, and the knock-on impact that has on decision making.
Same old story, isn't it? Every time we have something about poor record keeping, not up to date and not in any order, and therefore no information on which to base decisions. Maybe it's really time now for everybody to sort of buckle down and get the story right. We've got Making Tax Digital on the horizon, and records are going to have to be clean and up to date for that. So I wonder whether accountants now are going to grasp the nettle and do something about it, or whether they're going to sit back with their clients and let it all wash over them, which would be a bit of a disaster really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well we did, we're always interested in rework, and we've asked in the past about the amount of rework that accountants have to do where clients are using their own bookkeeping software to prepare the books. And I think this time last year accountants were saying that over half of the accountants would typically see a considerable amount or a complete rework of the books that they get from their clients. We asked the same question about those clients that are yet to move to accounting software who may have to as part of Making Tax Digital, and that figure rockets to 73%.
Gosh. And again, that rework, that's a hit on profit for accountants because you can't always recharge it. It also means a lot of extra time, so the firm comes under more pressure of work. And we're with these same issues again and again, aren't we? And well, I don't know, what is there to be done about it? John, have you got a view?
Well, because they're so persistent, I've kind of gone back over the sort of survey research as a whole and just started to collect together some ideas to address the obvious pain points. And you know, even though we talk a lot about automation, it's either staffing or automation or your ways out of dealing with the capacity crunch. But even when you do that, you know, the most difficult factor is the human element. So in a way, MTD is kind of a useful stick to grab people's attention. You can beat your clients around the head a little bit and scare them with this and get their attention and say, you know, this is what you're going to need to do, the government's going to demand it, and start, you know, saying we're going to have to change our processes and you're going to have to come along with us. So the communication is just essential. And Rebecca, on behalf of AccountingWEB members, you know, we have to thank you for your sort of MTD communications pack, because a lot of people have downloaded that. That's really encouraging that you know, people are getting that idea of start talking to clients now. Once you start talking to them, you know, let's look at the processes. And all along it's just very clear, you know, take manual keying out as early as you can and get the data electronically, and then you have an electronic process. We then go on sort of standardizing both, you know, maybe the charts of accounts, the report format, you know, it'd be maybe different client groups have the same charts, you know, get them standardized. Get the report formats, simplify them a bit. You know, I think it's not going to, your accounts aren't going to need to look pretty anymore. It's get them simplified all the way down the line. Look for where you can take any effort and work out of the process. So kind of the recipe we know, but it's time to start tackling it now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing that I'd add from a Bankstream perspective is I think you've really got to be bringing the bookkeeping back in-house as well. Pushing it onto clients, I just don't think is going to be the answer. I mean, we've seen from this survey that accountants have no faith in their clients being able to pick up that work and do it successfully. So what we're actually seeing as a company is we're seeing a lot of people come to us and actually start talking to us about, how can we bring that bookkeeping work back in-house, because they know that will put them in control of the workflow and it will allow them to be in control of when things get done. Now, it only really works from a cost and capacity viewpoint if you can automate a lot of the laborious tasks, the data entry, a lot of the analysis. So I think it's very important that you do use tools that allow you to do that, but if you can, then you can get back in control of the workflow. That can really help you at year end, and it should also mean that, come making tax digital and the quarterly reporting that we're all expecting, when that comes around, you should be in a good position.
Yep, certainly, Kevin. It's what I've done in my practice. I haven't got the capacity to actually do manual bookkeeping. But now that there are these tools available, what I'm going to do, and I'm starting to do, is bringing the jobs back in, taking the bookkeeping away from the client. That eliminates rework of manual books. And yeah, I wouldn't trust them with a software package. They make a lot more mess than I could tidy up. So getting that in-house, finding a lot of it's automated. Again, no keying of data, so that makes it a lot quicker. I think the one observation I'll have is that it's very difficult to capture cash. And when I'm thinking about businesses that actually the cash is their sort of bits of expenses, what I call walking around money, a bit of taxi or a bit of whatever. What I've done personally is I've gone over to contactless payment on my business account, so that all of those transactions, and they are quite small amounts of money, but they're all captured now. And then I don't forget to claim for them, because otherwise I might lose a receipt and forget. So I find that, and of course then when you are taking a bank feed, you've got all of that as well. So it's a really useful tip for people out there. Contactless is growing very, very fast. And if you can encourage clients to get a contactless card on their business bank account, then you'll take out all of that cash and streamline quite a bit of accounting. So I think that's quite a smart move. Well, I think that's all we've got time for this month. So thank you very much for joining us. Let me tell you about the downloads. We've got John's download tip sheet with some practical tips about how to overcome some of these problems. And then the full report from Bankstream, which you can also download. And don't forget, as John mentioned, there is a Making Tax Digital resource pack as well on AccountingWEB to help you get your head around it all without having to read all of the consultation documents. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again in a couple of months' time. Thank you.